seen Jurassic Park. You got a fighting chance of running from the T-Rex. those little ones that come by the hundreds, you're screwed. I'm going with the horse-sized duck.
Welcome to CelinaRadio.com. I'm your host, Ron Lyons, and this is the voice of Celina, Texas. Guys, welcome to another episode of CelinaRadio.com. Today we've got Clint Bissett, and if you don't know Clint, then you're missing out on somebody who is a massive fan of Celina, Texas. And he's here today to talk to us about Leadership Celina. If you don't know what that is, it's definitely something that you're going to want to learn about and possibly get involved with. They're taking applications right now for Class 3. And I was involved in Leadership Frisco back in the day when it first launched. And let me tell you, this is the time to get into Leadership Celina. Tomorrow's leaders are defined by so many different actions. One of those things that helps shape and form those leaders is graduating from a class of Leadership Celina. Now, Clint Bissett is just a cool cat. You're going to really like hearing from him. He's got a very interesting story, how he fell in love with Celina, how long he's been here, what he likes to do here, and a couple of fun questions along the way. And today's episode is brought to you by my new Facebook group called The Best of Celina. Now, that page, that group has been growing by leaps and bounds. Over 100 people per day. We're at 2,500 people, and we haven't been active for over a month yet. So just, if you haven't checked it out, The Best of Celina, it is a fantastic place to go and get a real sense of community. The best of the best are on The Best of Celina on Facebook. So go check it out, guys. But for right now, sit back, relax, and let's talk with Clint Bissett. Guys, I'm here right now with somebody that you would know if you have ever been involved with the Chamber of Commerce, the wine crawl, or anything like that. And his name is Clint Bissett. Clint, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm really, really good. And there's a real specific reason that you're here today. It's not because I'm such a good-looking guy and you want to come hang out with me, but you actually have something going on right now that we're going to talk about. We're going to get into that a little bit. But let's just give everybody a hint. What is it that's going on that you're involved with right now?
You said there was free food here.
There actually is. There actually is food. I don't want to admit this, but we had an event here weeks ago, and we had all this food. We bought, I think we bought 600 breakfast tacos for two of the businesses here in town.
Nice.
They made their way in there, and then they got forgotten for the leftovers. So help yourself. I don't know.
All I can eat. Perfect. Just the way I like it.
No, tell everybody what you've got going on. It's something very exciting that we're gonna try and kind of bring a little bit of a little kind of interest and bring it to everybody's attention. Let people know that it's going on. What is that amazing thing that's going on?
So it is about leadership. I'll lead off with that, and then it also involves Celina.
You can't really beat the combination leadership and Celina in a growing community like this.
Yes, sir.
It's critical.
It is.
It's absolutely critical. So we'll get into that in just a minute, and just to kind of help the people like me who don't catch on too fast. Leadership Celina. That's kind of what we're going to talk about. So, yep. But let's talk first about Clint Bissett. So, Clint, how long have you been in Celina, Texas?
So, our office, I work for Pacheco Coke, an engineering firm. We're officed on the square. That office opened up in January of 17. I was asked to take over the office in July, August of 17, something like that. Actually, the initial inaugural wine crawl was the ribbon cutting for the PK office. So I was invited up here to attend that by some of the principals. And I think they already had in their head that they were going to ask me to take over the office at that point. So they played me a little bit, but it worked out okay.
Where did you, and you came from where?
I was actually working down in the Dallas office at the time.
Okay, so a bit of a jaunt. Had you heard of Celina before?
Yes, and I knew we were opening the office, but that's really all I knew about the community at that point.
So let me ask you from an outsider's perspective, somebody who wasn't here yet and hadn't, seen all the amazing things that are Celina, Texas now. Were you a little apprehensive? Were you a little concerned? Because I came from Dallas. I mean, back in the day, it's been a long time. But,
sure.
The first time I came to Celina, I'd never seen anything like it before. And I really, coming out of Dallas, I was used to like lots and lots of homeless people and crime and things like that. And I came up here and the boys are roping each other like cattle out on the square out of the back of a pickup. I was like, where am I? What is this place? And it was awesome. It was like going back to like Andy Griffith or something. It was fantastic. Yep. So how was it for you coming up here?
So I grew up, my wife and I both grew up in Clyde, so which is right outside of Abilene, small town, 2,000 people when we were there. So when I came up here, my wife was not able to attend the wine crawl that night. So I came up here. They started broaching the subject of, if we were running this office, we would have you doing this and this. And so I knew the question was coming. So I told her, you're going to love this place. It has that small town feel that we grew up with, but it is a thriving community. The growth is coming. And in 17, it wasn't here. It was still little stuff. I mean, the square wasn't built out anywhere near what it is now. So she came up here with me on a Saturday, went and sat in one of the local wine bars and talked about what this looks like. If we get this offer to move up here, are we going to take it? We both decided that we liked the feel, we liked the hometown to it, we liked the small town, the people that we'd met at that point, we enjoyed. So when they asked, we said yes. We sold our house in Denton, we put in a contract to build a house out here. It closed on it in April of 18 and have loved it ever since. So
that's what I was going to say. So have you ever looked back and said, wow, we shouldn't have done that? We should have moved somewhere else, or any regrets at all?
No, I have made a lot of stupid decisions in my life. Tons. Won't even get into those.
That's a different show. We could compare bad decisions or something.
And I've made a few good ones, like getting married to my wife.
Right.
But this is one where we both look up and go, well, this is a no-brainer. This was such a great decision. And getting up here before everything really started booming and started growing, and being able to kind of get ingrained into the community and be a part of helping that has been awesome.
I love that. And so there's as we speak right now, they're getting ready for an event out on the square. And to me, the square is just kind of like the center. It's like the hub. It's like such a great, center for a city like this. And it really draws the community together. I know that your office is on the square.
Yes, sir.
So what's it like being right there on the square and seeing all of these events? And I guess you could go out there pretty much any time of day and see families out there doing all kinds of things. What's it like being on the square?
I don't even know how to adequately explain it, because my office is right on the square. So I look out my window from my desk and I stare at the square.
Wow.
So I see all the older people coming to the senior center for lunches. I see the families that are out there having a picnic or playing ball. When we have events, we actually open up the office for clients and stuff to come through there. So they've got, like when we do Cajun Fest, you've been to Cajun Fest, it gets warm out there occasionally. So we give a place where our clients and our workers can come in and get out of the sun and have some drinks and some food, but still get to enjoy it. So it's just pretty darn cool.
It is. And so being on the square, and I ask this question a lot, and people like to hear this. People like to know, because it's just kind of one of those things. What is it like on an average day? And unless you're like one of my recent guests who's like a workout person, you probably then like carry your lunch every day. Assuming that you eat out like I do.
Yeah.
What do you do on the square? Where do you go? They're all awesome.
They are.
We're not picking one over any others.
Nope.
But what do you like? What does Clint Bissett like?
Well, so one of the things PK does is we get breakfast for our office every Friday morning. So this morning we had tacos from Tenders, which is a regular staple on our Friday morning breakfast.
Nice.
So Tenders is always great. Probably my go-to, it probably varies between Toasted Walnut and Lucy's.
Gotcha. So pick one of those for me. Pick one that I want to quiz you about things on the menu.
Let's go with Lucy's then.
Okay, Lucy's. So you walk into Lucy's, which if you walk in there, you're probably going to run into me. We've probably been in there at the same time and just didn't realize it at some point. As a matter of fact, I kind of hate to admit this, but I was in there twice yesterday. So I was in there for a networking thing in the morning and had breakfast, and then the wife said, "Hey, let's go eat where you want to eat." And I was like, "How about Lucy's?" I mean, I know it just left, but
it's two separate meals. It counts.
It is. So it's a little sad whenever you walk in and they're taking everyone's order and they get to you and they just look at you and keep walking because they already know. So when you go to Lucy's, what does Clint Bissett like to order?
So I waffle back and forth, and I will tell you that as soon as I sit down, they bring over my unsweet tea without even asking me what I want. It's just a given.
It's awesome.
And then I will bounce back and forth between the buffalo wrap and the burger.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. So I have a financial advisor who very involved in Frisco and things like that, just now really discovering Celina.
Okay.
And loves to come up here and try new things. So yesterday he was like, okay, where can I get a really awesome burger in Celina, Texas? And I was like, well, we don't have a dedicated burger place per se anymore.
Yep.
But you could go here or here and get a really, so I mentioned the Wagyu burger.
Oh yeah. Toasted Wagyu burgers.
Yep.
Man. Mouth's watering water now thinking about it. I appreciate that.
Right? We'll go over there after this. So and then I mentioned Lucy's is a great place to grab one as well. And he was like, you know what, Lucy's it is. I've heard great things about that. So he got to experience Lucy's yesterday, and texted me back. He's like, I love it. He's like, and I love the square. It's awesome.
Well, so one of the coolest things about that is that for all of us regulars that down here, people that live in Celina, you go to those restaurants on a regular basis. And it's not just the servers that start to recognize you. You get to know the owners. So you know that when you sit down at Lucy's, if Moises is around, he's going to come by and say hi and talk to you for a minute.
100%.
Joey's going to swing by it when you're at Toasted. If Eddie happens to roll through at Guyos, he's going to come talk to you. So it's that way at all the restaurants here. And it's just that small community that just feel that binds everybody together.
It really does. And the other side of that is the fact that is all so appealing and it's so awesome and so amazing that it's pulling many people here. And you can't fault them because they're pursuing the very same thing you and I did.
Yep.
We came here looking for something, we found it, and now more people want to do it. But inherent to that is the fact that no longer will this always be the small town that it is now. So weigh in on that for me just a little bit. How does Clint Bissett feel about small town, the growth? What do we do?
All right, so let's throw this out there. Tenders open up in 2017, just like PK's office did up here, which means when they get that number 2 Yelp review for best places to eat in America, we went from walking in, sitting down, enjoying our brisket or our ribs to standing in line for an hour and a half.
That's
and
right.
if you're lucky, they didn't run out of food before you got there.
Exactly, right.
Which at first you get a little irritated. You're like, this is an inconvenience. I like eating here. Now I can't eat. I work 5 steps from here and I still can't get in and get brisket.
Right.
But then you step back a minute and you're like, but this is amazing for this company and this restaurant, and the people that don't want to wait an hour and a half, they're rolling around the corners to go into Lucy's. They're going to go find somewhere else to eat. So they're going to frequent the other businesses, or they'll go down to the Willow House and shop while they're waiting on their turn. So, and being a civil engineer, and I do both public and private work. So I help do site civil stuff for developments that are coming. I help do infrastructure projects, roads, pipelines, stuff like that for municipalities. So part of it is my business is growth and infrastructure. But seeing everything come together and seeing how we went from 17,000 people when they did the census back in 2020, and we're at 43,000 people now, 3.5 years later. Seeing all that take place, yet we're still maintaining that small town community feel. There's some stuff that's not the same. It takes a little bit longer to get somewhere when you get on some of those roads. The construction is a pain in the butt when you're trying to get somewhere, but the the feel and the community is still the same. It's just more people are getting to enjoy it. It's helping those businesses that are growing. So I love it. I think it's good for the community. I think it's good for all of us that are living here, and especially the business owners that are trying to make a living doing it. So I like and support it. And
so it sounds to me like hanging on to, like keeping an anchor in things like this downtown square and helping to always keep and promote that small town feel is just going to be paramount to moving forward as a community. Because I remember back in the day, I was very involved and active in Frisco, back when Frisco was going through exactly what we're doing right now here. And there were a lot of plans to hold on to kind of that small town, who we were, where we came from. And I don't know that that's actually been maintained. Not to be hating on Frisco at all. Love Frisco. Spent many, many years there, worked there, did all kinds of things. Yeah. Built a very successful business there, but not... And I don't know that anything like that has really been, the same challenge that faced Frisco and now faces Celina. I don't know that faced, did Carrollton have that too? Did Farmers Branch? I don't know.
I think probably Frisco's the best comparison, just because the rate of growth. And I think that we've got a couple of advantages over Frisco. One is that we watched Frisco grow. So the mistakes they made, the missteps they had, some of the things they could have done better. You can learn from both the good and the bad that took place during that growth, and make sure that we don't make the same mistakes they do. And that's key, is you make your own new mistakes. Don't make one that you can watch from somebody else. Secondly is that Frisco didn't have the square we do. They don't have that heart. They've got their old downtown, but they don't have a place that they can draw people to like our square does. They don't have a place where they can hold events that you'll have 7,000 to 12,000 people come through in a day. And so I think we've got an advantage of that, which lends itself more to that small town feel. Whereas if you don't have that and you just start throwing up houses and businesses all over the place, then you lose that. But the city leadership over the last several years, going back to Corbett when he was mayor, they've made an effort to make sure that we keep that and draw people into that downtown, because that's where they're going to fall in love with the city and that feel. So just moving forward, we still have to be able, there's going to be stuff on the tollway, there's going to be stuff on Preston, there's going to be stuff all over the place. But if you still have that heart of downtown and all roads lead to downtown, then you've got a much better opportunity to keep that feel to it.
Absolutely. And I think that is exactly what's going on, and it's the way it's going to be, and it's the way that we hold on to who we are, hang on to our heritage, hang on to not letting ourselves kind of, turn into, I don't want to be another Frisco. No. I just don't want to be another Frisco. I want to be, like you said, I want to learn from those things, and I want us to be better in every way. And I don't know if you're aware or not, but I started this little page called The Best of Celina.
Yes, sir. I am.
I am so proud of the membership, the people. You truly get a feel for the community when you go there. It's amazing. It makes me so proud of my city when I see all of the people joining the Best of Celina, talking about their families, talking about their small business, sharing their triumphs and their successes and the trophy or the award or the, whatever it is. I love every bit of that. So I'm glad that you're aware about it, about that page, but it's, doesn't that just kind of speak to who we are right now? And isn't that worth preserving?
It is, definitely. Yeah. And it's, that's one of the cool things about that page is when people are coming on, they're, hey, this is so-and-so, and this is my community, here's my family, this is what we do, this is when we moved here, and just, here's a paragraph that tells you about my life and my family, and getting to know each other that way. So there's, a lot of them I've seen before, but there's new people that pop up on there, or new people that are like, oh, I've got this new business, and we just moved to town, and it's just cool seeing that. And I think that is... it speaks volumes about Celina in general and the people that we have here.
To me, it's very representative of our community, and like I said, super blessed, super amazed, very happy, love all the people. I can't imagine Celina being any different than it is. It's just so special, and I think that's why we're so passionate about it, right?
Yeah.
Because we care so much about it. But I want to ask you about the name of the company you work for. You've already said it a few times here. It has to be the most maligned and misstated. It's just I've heard it said so many different ways. So pronounce it exactly correctly for me.
It is Pacheco Coke.
Okay.
And I can't even go down the list of all the ways people mispronounce Pacheco. It's just, you get Pachinko, Pachaco. There's
Coke, Koch, every different.
Yes.
It's 1,000 different combination possibilities, and so it's just it's good when you can just say PK.
yes, and
PK.
And we actually got acquired by a company called Westwood about 1.5 years ago, which has been a really good move for us and made us a national firm at that point. So people can say Westwood a whole lot easier than
That was
Pacheco.
way better. I like it. So let's get a little bit into this thing that you're actually trying to kind of bring some attention and focus to, and it's a really awesome thing. I was a part of the the startup, and when Frisco did this exact same thing, now they're many years into it. Give us an idea of what's going on and where are you trying to bring some awareness to?
Okay. So the program is Leadership Celina. It is a Chamber of Commerce program, and it's done at chambers throughout the U.S. The intent of it is to get people involved that are up-and-coming leaders and let them see behind the curtain as to what goes on in the community. So it's a 8-month-long program. You're basically dedicating a day a month, every month for that 8 months. And every month we do something different. The first one is a team building deal. Then we'll do education and healthcare, where you go to the high school and to Collin College and you visit some of the medical practices around here and get a feel for that. We've got a local government, which is city and county government. We usually start the day over at Collin County Admin Building and go visit with the county judge and the sheriff and some of the other county officials and get a feel for behind the scenes what's going on over there. How do they run the county? What do the county commissioners actually do? What does the sheriff do, and how does that interact with the rest of the law enforcement community? Then we'll come over to the city and visit with the fire department and the police department, the city manager. We'll go out to the wastewater plant because you haven't seen a city till you've been to the wastewater plant.
It's a critical part of the operation of a city. It's not always the most fun, but it is very interesting.
Well, and it's you'll hear people that will include the public works with the fire and police. It is a first responder of sorts. And nobody thinks about it until you flush that toilet and it doesn't go away. Or you turn on that tap and there ain't no water there. And those guys are the unsung heroes.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. That is the absolute truth. The ones that don't necessarily get all the fame and all the glory, but without.
I will tell you, when we had that freeze and nobody left their house for a week, those guys were out there. They were making sure that the water was running, that the wastewater was running. They were making sure that you could get where you were going. I mean, they were out there freezing their tails off, making sure you have water. So I'm in charge of that day when we do it, and that's one of the things that I try to make sure we do because it is a critical piece. And those guys that are running that plant or that are going out and working on the sewer lines or a water main break in the middle of the night, I have heard them tell me that they love their job because they're an unseen hero. There's somebody that something goes to hell in a handbasket, and they go out there, they do their job, they get it back going, and then they just drift off into the night, and you don't see them.
Wow.
So
I like that.
They love that. They can be such a big benefit to the community, but they don't want the spotlight while they're doing it.
Right. I like it. I like it a lot. It's very, very good stuff.
The intent is to show them how everything kind of works. So, what charities we have in town, and how do those work, and how do they help people, and how does somebody that's in need find those people to get the assistance? If somebody's got an issue with, I don't know, your water, your sewer, your pothole in front of your house, whatever, how do you get that addressed? So it puts people in a position where they know how stuff works behind the background, and they meet the people that are kind of key players on that, and they build relationships with them so that if something like that comes up, they've got the ability to go, hey, I know the guy that you can call that'll get that fixed for you. Or, hey, your house burned out. We know these Grace Bridge guys or Helping Hands. We can help you get past this. So it's partially about relationships. It's partially about learning how the community works. And a big part of it is putting people who are up and coming leaders in a position to where they can help and benefit others with the knowledge that they have that's been imparted to them through this program.
I like it. And give me an idea. So what are the qualifications like it? You obviously, there's some certain, requirements that you've got to meet in order to join Leadership Celina.
Sure.
So tell me about that.
So the biggest one is, since it's a Chamber of Commerce program, you or your company have to be a member of the Chamber. And then the other biggest deal is you've got to have the desire and the commitment to put in the time. So like I said, it's a day a month. So if you're self-employed, you got to know that you're not going to be in the office for that day. If you're working for somebody, your boss needs to know that you're making a commitment and you're going to be out these days. And you know those days ahead of time. So
I know this is the third.
Yes.
The third. What do you call it? The third class.
Third class, yes, sir.
Okay, so first class, and I know you said each one does a project. They have like a class project or something like that, and then I believe they end up introducing that or submitting that whatever to city council, and it's kind of this big deal. I know there's a graduation.
Yes, sir.
So there's different elements of it. Like I said, very similar to how everybody else does it. And so give me an idea on Class 1, Leadership Celina Class 1. What was their project?
So their project was, they went through, so one of the big things that they enjoyed was, one of the days is basically Celina history. And we drove around downtown and had a gentleman that's a big historian, knows a lot of stuff about old Celina from way back in the day when it started. So we drove through and he'd talk about some of the houses and what happened there and the families that were there and how they were influential in the community as it was growing back in the day. Then we went out to Cottage Hill Cemetery and saw some of the old tombstones out there from way back when. And all right, these are some other influential people within the community. Then we went out to the school, and all right, this is the school that was built on property from this family that we just talked about. So they wanted to help bring some of that history to people that are new to the community. So what they did was they put together, and it's, like I said, it's on the city's website somewhere. It's kind of buried a little bit, hard to find, but they've got a page in there that's got a map up at the top of it and has little dots that are associated with numbers. And as you scroll down, there are some little factoids as well as some recordings. So one of them was the old Celina football field. And the class went and interviewed G.A. Moore and talked about what happened back in the day and all these championships that you won, all this things that you instilled in these young men to make them passionate about football, good at football, hardworking, have that mentality, but not just on the field, in their everyday life and in their community. So you get to listen to him talk about that. Excuse me. You get to talk about when Kenny Chesney came and was, did the video.
Right. Kind of a little known, interesting thing.
Yeah.
Kenny Chesney actually came to Celina, and not for a concert specifically.
Yeah, he came to do the Boys of Fall video.
That's right.
And then came back after that. Like, I think they were playing maybe Anna. I forget the story exactly, but there were little rumors going around that, Kenny's in town right now. Kenny's in town right now.
Right.
And they were having a pep rally over at the school. And Kenny touched base with somebody. He was like, hey, you mind if I come over to the school before the pep rally? Went over there and showed up and stepped out, and everybody just went nuts. And by the time they got over to where they were playing the football game, the opposing team already knew about it. I was like, hey, how was Kenny doing? So it's just cool stuff like that.
Right.
So they talk about that. There's one on Bobcat Benny. There's one on Punk Carter. And it's like I said, there's some little snippets in there where they had conversations similar to what we're doing that are in there you can go listen to and hear some of the history on it. So that's what theirs was. And it was kind of a cool project because it's one of those where classes after that have the ability to go in and edit and update that and add more information.
Very
So
cool.
if there's pieces of the history or something that appeals to that class, they can go in and add that to it. So it's one of those that can kind of morph over time and continue to build.
Very, very cool. And what was the second class project? Do you remember what that was?
Yes, the second class did a storybook, like an illustrated kid's storybook. I forget exactly which class it is. I want to say it's either second or third grade. But they, again, put something together that is kind of a history of where we came from, because it's one of the things about Celina is it's not just about where we're going with this growth or where we are right now with what's going on, or just about the history and the people that came before us and set the stage. What we're doing now was built on their shoulders as they made Celina what it is. And what we're doing now will help carry that into the future. So the storybook kind of goes through some of the stuff that went on back in the day at a level that a second or third grader can understand and get interested in. So it's set up as Benny the Bobcat is a time traveler and he's going back in time and kind of goes through these pieces.
Very cool.
So they put that together and then got a sponsor that actually printed up copies of them where every child in that grade next year will get a copy of this book.
Wow.
So it's
Very,
kind of
very
a
good stuff.
cool little
Yeah, I know,
deal.
it's super cool. And now it's time for class number 3 to be formed.
Yes, sir.
So applications are being accepted right now. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yep. Applications are open through the end of the month.
Okay, and talk to me about that. Where would someone go to find an application? How do they submit that? What's required? Do they need to write an essay? What's involved?
All right. So the applications can be found online at the Chamber of Commerce website or Facebook page. You have to fill out the application, which includes some basic information about you. There's some questions on there about, what do you do? How are you investing in the community? Do you do extracurricular stuff like volunteering for some of the events or Friday night market or with one of the churches or one of the charities around, just kind of some public involvement stuff that you do. What are you looking to get out of this class? What do you think you bring to the table that adds benefit to the class? And it's just not a dissertation or I'm all this greatness or anything like that. It's just some basic information so that we can look at the people that are applying and make sure that the ones we're getting are ones that are driven and motivated and good future potential leaders. It is an application process. We don't accept everybody that submits, so we have a kind of a set size that we're looking with. For the first few classes, we want to keep it at 15 or under, just so we can make sure that as we grow it, we are putting the program together like it needs to be so that we can get a good, solid program for the people going through so they get value out of it. If you get too big, it gets a little out of hand, logistics become an issue, stuff like that. So there's also a application fee of $500. Not application, it's a class fee. So if you apply, you don't have to pay it then. If you get accepted into the class, then you have to pay the $500 fee. You've also got to have at least one letter of recommendation from somebody, either somebody you work with or something like that. And then there's a place where you have to sign off that, yes, if my employer knows that I'm applying for this, they support the time commitment that goes along with this.
Good stuff. So, and then there's a process where you guys would then make your selections and that sort of thing. Are there any interviews involved in this?
Yes, there are. So we have a steering committee. Back up just a little bit. So the Chamber of Commerce has been talking about for years starting up this Leadership Celina program. And you really need to have a good basis of companies that are, or chamber members that are here so that you've got a pool to pull from. Otherwise, it's like, okay, we're going to do this. We got one class through and there's no new applicants. Every chamber member signed up.
Right.
So we've been talking about it for a while. And my wife, Amy, and I have been talking with Melissa Cromwell with the chamber probably 5 years ago because I had been through Leadership Granbury when I was down there. Amy had been through Leadership Denton, was on the steering committee over there. So as we started getting some momentum, we needed a steering committee to help put it all together, plan out the program days and all that. So we added in some other people that had been through the program. Chad Anderson had been through Leadership Frisco. I believe he was actually Class 2 in Frisco. Tom Parsons went through Leadership Waco several years ago. Brenda Carter with Collin College has been through, she's our superstar. She's been through 3 different leadership programs. So all of us had been through it and knew the value that it brings to both the applicants and the community in general. So we were kind of driven. It was a soft spot in our heart to put this program together and make it something that was good and something that people would want to be a part of, and kind of an elite organization as it moves forward. And then from there, we make a selection of who's going to make the cut.
So when this is all said and done, what is there always a similar start date for each group, for each class?
Yes. Generally, we will get together, and the kickoff, which is the team building, will be in late September.
Okay. And the team building thing. So back in my day, there was an actual one of those. It's not called a confidence course anymore, but there was some sort of a course.
The ropes course.
Yeah, one of those types of deals, and so many people were afraid to do that.
Yep.
But yet they still had good leadership qualities, but they didn't like to climb up on the telephone pole and jump to a trapeze and that sort of thing. So, what kind of team building things have you seen so far with Leadership Celina?
So typically what we'll do is we'll start off the day, and it's kind of a get to know each other. We go through and just do, introductions and 2 truths and a lie, and just kind of
Truths and a lie.
Yeah.
I like it.
So this is going to give it away for all the future classes, though. But one of the 2 truths and a lie that comes up, or has come up at the first 2, is that there's 3 of us in this room that have matching tattoos. And the looks we get are like the one that's on your face right now. Like, what the hell is going on here?
That's awesome. Oh, man, that is funny.
I'll tell you, it's me, my wife, and Melissa Cromwell. Since we're all on the Chamber's Wine Crawl Planning Committee, we all got a little wine glass tattoo several years ago. So,
well, and you may or may not be being honest about that right now, just to throw someone off. Yeah. So, hey,
we'll find out.
Find out. That's right.
We'll see if anybody actually listens to this or not.
That's right. That's right. Well, just so you know, about right now, running around 6,000 listens per episode.
Okay,
so
nice.
in a city like Celina, I think a few people are going to hear this.
Good chunk, yeah.
Guys, what do you think about Clint Bissett so far? Super cool guy, right? And it just so happens that he's doing a fantastic job over at the Celina Economic Development Corporation. And he's doing a fantastic job promoting Leadership Celina as well. And we're not done with the interview. We've got a little more to cover, but I just wanted to take a moment and invite you to join my Facebook group called The Best of Celina. If you haven't seen it yet, you're missing out on so much. It's a place where you can really get a sense of community in Celina, Texas. Lots and lots of families, small businesses, events. We're going to have some meetups pretty soon. We've got a networking group coming that's going to be very supportive of our small businesses in Celina. So there's a whole lot there for you to do, participate in, hang out with some of the best, find out what's going on. And by all means, we would love to have you join that page. I think you're just going to love it. It's different than almost anything else out there. So go check it out. Just go on Facebook, do a search for The Best of Celina, and join. That's it. For now, guys, let's get back to the interview with Clint Bissett. We got a little more to talk about with him and Leadership Celina, and then some kind of interesting and fun questions towards the end of the interview. So let's get back to Clint Bissett.
So as part of the rest of the team building day, the part of the first day, we also do like a scavenger hunt and some other stuff, and then we'll have a happy hour at the end of it where it'll be the new class as well as the previous classes and the chamber board so they can meet everybody there.
It sounds to me like maybe doing the happy hour thing is kind of the fun part. No, I'm just kidding. That's why I would join.
You would think, but you haven't heard about the second day yet.
Tell me about the second day.
So the second day, we go out to Punk Carter's ranch. And I don't know if you've been out there and hung out with him. He's
absolutely
an amazing man to start with. He's got such great stories. But we'll go out there and we'll have a cowboy breakfast that they cook over the fire. And then, like last year, actually both years, G.A. Moore came out there. But last year, we had like an impromptu discussion with G.A. where he told us, he sat there and talked for probably 20 minutes, just regaling us with what leadership means to him and how he tried to instill that in the boys that were coming up through his program. And then Punk gets you on the horses, and you get to ride around the horse. You do some, trying to lasso the little horse or the cow dummy.
Right.
Do some cutting on there where they get the flag going back and forth, and you try not to fall off the horse. So it's really cool. It gets everybody out of their comfort zone. And if you've met Punk, you know that there is no saying no to this man.
Nope.
We went the first year, and he had everybody go through and get on the cutting horse. And I'm not a huge horse guy. And he's like, all right, you're next. I'm like, no, I'm good. And he goes, I said you're next. I'm
exactly.
Like, damn it. All right, let's go.
That's exactly how a conversation goes with Punk Carter. That's so awesome.
So it's good times, though. So if you know Punk, we were sitting there the first year when we went out to his place, and we're having lunch, and he looks down at his phone, he gets a text, and he leans over to his wife, Rita, and goes, Winona just asked if we want to go to her concert down in Arlington tonight and go backstage and hang out. He said, I don't really feel like going to Arlington today, so I'll just tell her no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what my typical Friday's like too. Just Winona hit me up if I want to go to a concert.
Unbelievable. A man with a lot of history and a really good meatloaf over at Lucy's too.
Yes, sir.
That's right. So hopefully we get some really, really good leadership candidates for you, and they can get in that process, and you guys can. I guess I'm going to call it help build the legacy of Celina, because we all come from a past. And I don't know if past leadership knew what one day would come. I don't know that you could necessarily know that back in the day, but we certainly know it today.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is a critical part of building Celina into the kind of community and city that we all want it to be, something that we all love so much. We all share that in common. And I think doing this Leadership Celina thing is just going to be, as it grows, it's going to be an integral part of the future of Celina. It's going to be amazing. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for coming on here and talking about that. And we'll certainly love to follow up later and find out how everything went.
Yes, sir.
And kind of get an update. Maybe maybe just on a regular basis, maybe you can come back and give us a little insight on how everything's going.
And you must be desperate for material if you're asking me back.
You know what? You would be amazed at the things that people love to hear on this show. And I know this is going to be one of those things, so I know they'd love to hear from you again. But we're not just going to walk away on that note.
No.
Okay? I told you already, I'm not going to pull out any games. You're not going to have to give a makeup tutorial or do anything like that. But I do have a few just for fun questions. We already learned a little bit about Clint Bissett, and we know that he likes to get the cheeseburger from Lucy's and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to ask him a few more questions, and he has no idea what I'm about to ask him. So these will be a little bit more fun. So give us an idea. If you had to choose between every day riding the motorcycle of your dreams, Harley Davidson, whatever you like, or driving the pickup of your dreams, what do you choose?
Not really a motorcycle guy, so I'm going to go with the pickup.
Gotcha. All right. And if we got in that truck and we crank it up, what kind of music do we hear?
Oh, dude. So I will tell you, and this is going to be a long answer for a simple question. I did the little profile for the Celina record a while back.
Right.
And one of the questions was, what's my go-to song? And I'm like, I listen to so much stuff, whether it is 90s rap or heavy metal or Texas country, or I just have a broad range of likes when it comes to music. But I also said in that article that I think it'd be this or this, but if you ask me what my walk-up music is, I can answer that.
That's awesome. I like it. What's my walk? I mean, that's gonna be a new question for
Yeah,
me now.
yeah.
What's your walk up song? I like that. That's good. So what do we hear coming out of the radio?
It's probably going to be Texas country. There's going to be some Randy Rogers or some Parker McCollum or some Coe Wetzel going most days.
Very good. So let me ask you this: not part of this little line of like crazy questioning, but do you like doing the Troubadour Festival?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got that coming up.
So I live in Parkside, so I can sit out in the hot tub and listen to the music from there.
You're so lucky.
The drinks are free.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're right there. You're very, very close to the action. You don't have to even try to listen to it. So if you do you drink coffee or no?
No, not a coffee drinker.
Not a coffee drinker. Soft drinks?
Yep.
Coke, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi. What's your flavor?
I'm either a Cherry Zero or a Dr. Pepper guy.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. You're one of those guys.
If you're gonna do Dr. Pepper, you got to go full leaded. You don't get that diet Dr. Pepper crap. But the Cherry Zero.
I like it. I like it. So, chicken fried steak or fried chicken?
Chicken fried steak.
Oh man.
White gravy.
Speaking
mashed
my language.
potatoes. Green beans.
My language. I love it. Good stuff. So, favorite movie that just comes to mind right off the top of your head. Favorite movie? Or a favorite movie?
Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused. You know, that's the second time I've heard that.
Really?
Second time I've heard that. What in the world about that movie? What is it that's so appealing?
I don't know. I think it's just the cool laid back vibe to it, and back when things were quote unquote simpler.
Right on. I like it. I like it. So if you could go back in history, and this is one of those cliche questions, but if you could sit down, have dinner, conversation with anyone from history, famous or not famous, who would you like to sit down with, have a meal, and have a conversation?
I mean, nothing could be cooler than this conversation we're having. But
well,
mean,
that's true.
If I got to pick a number two, then
oh man,
I think it would be kind of cool to go back and talk to, like, let's just pick Benjamin Franklin.
Okay,
And
good choice.
The
Very
stuff
interesting
that
person.
he went through and how his mind worked, and the just overall general curiosity he had about how things work and figuring out how that all comes together.
Absolutely.
I think he'd be just interesting guy to talk to.
Very, very interesting. If you ever study history and you study Ben Franklin, it's very enlightening, to say the least. It's not, you just see like this older guy and he did this or that and flying a kite or whatever. No, there's so much more to him. So if you could be in any other career besides being an engineer, doing what you're doing right now, just any job in the world, and you'd be really, really good at it, what would you do?
I think one that on a day-to-day basis I would really enjoy is being a float fisherman guide.
Wow.
Being up in, I don't know, go White River in Arkansas, or
very interesting.
Go up to Wyoming and float the green up there, or even in Alaska doing stuff like that.
Wow.
I grew up going up to Colorado every summer and trout fishing up in the mountains, and I'm not going to brag too much, but I'm pretty damn good at it. So I've had more than
so yourself.
Well,
that's good. I like it.
Well, we floated the white up in Arkansas when I was in probably 5th grade, and we got up there and I had my little spinning rig, and the guide was like, "Man, this is fly fishing water. You're not going to catch anything with that." And about 15 fish later, he looks over at my dad and goes, "He's pretty good with that spinning rig, isn't he?" My dad's like, "Yep. You should have listened to him."
That's awesome. I love it. That's awesome. Good stuff. I'm not going to ask you then beach versus mountains, because you just answered that one.
No, I didn't.
No, really?
I love both of them.
Really?
Yeah, my wife's a beach baby, so we're actually going to Mexico in a couple of weeks to hang out on the beach. So we like both. It just depends on the day.
Okay, and the last question, and the one that everybody gets asked, and it's like so exhausted now, but you know what? It's just the funniest thing ever, and I'll just probably keep doing this the rest of my time doing this podcast. If you had to choose between fighting a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses, which fight do you take? a horse-sized duck. So it's a duck.
Oh, I know, but it's horse-sized.
That big. He's one.
Where's
But he's
100
big.
little horses?
Or 100 of them as small as ducks running around. And I happen to have horses and ducks, so I get the size thing.
I mean, you've seen Jurassic Park. You got a fighting chance of running from the T-Rex. those little ones that come by the 100, you're screwed. I'm going with the horse-sized duck.
So you're going to go out there and duke it out with a horse-sized duck. I like it.
I got a fighting chance that maybe I'm quicker.
There you go. Yeah, I think so. Unless you just ate at Lucy's and you're full, and then
lay down and take it.
Go ahead and get killed by the horse-sized duck. So good stuff, Clint. Thank you so very much for being on the show. We appreciate very much everything you're doing to make Celina better. So thank you for that very much, and we will hopefully get you back on the show again in the future.
I appreciate the invite, Ron. Thanks for having me.
Guys, that is Clint Bissett. So there you go, guys. That is Clint Bissett. He happens to be the president of the Celina Economic Development Corporation. He is also on the steering committee for Leadership Celina. And like I said before, if you have any aspirations of becoming a future leader in Celina, Texas, one of the greatest stepping stones that you can take is enrolling in, participating, and graduating from Leadership Celina. It's just a critical part of that process. It gives you a huge head start. Clint Bissett is the person to talk to. The deadline for applications, from what I understand, is the last day of this month, June of 2023. It's a big commitment, but it has a big payoff. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. You know that we all live, work, and enjoy the greatest city in the United States. Yeah, I'm very biased because I love my Celina and I love you guys. I appreciate the fact that you're here and that you listen to this show with regularity. It's an amazing thing. And so thank you so very much for that. We've got so many guests coming up. We're running about 10 to 12 weeks behind right now, because we've got so many people who want to be on the show. And they're amazing people. You're going to love these episodes. Remember, go to the Best of Celina. Go on Facebook and join the group called the Best of Celina. That's going to be one of the coolest things that you can do, because you're going to become an even stronger part of the community of Celina, Texas, when you meet all of the people, attend the events, and participate in this fantastic city. So guys, until that next episode, stay safe and God bless.